when you're ready, we can go ahead and get started. But again, you can wait a couple minutes if you want to.
No, we can start. As I in general, I the idea, the concept of this volumetric volumetric speech was somehow that I give actually the audience the chance to see somehow part of the recording methods, and especially of how I do it at the moment. Like, as I'm not a big studio, I don't have this monstrous setups, the studio, 30 cameras, whatsoever, server farm. I'm doing it in the kind of indie way with at the moment 2 sensors. That's why I have a front and a back recording, and I have on the side some kind of a gap. So as the sensors are not covering perfectly the side, I'm having the sweet front, and somehow when I'm intensifying I'm zooming a little bit out, then you see that there is as well a solid back, but there is a gap somehow between, as I'm at the moment still recording with 2. I will update soon with 2.4 sensors, and I wanted to give an impression that this, at the moment, from my point of view, I have seen quite a lot of volumetric VR work, and often it's not that the audience is really able to walk around, walk close, have an experience looking the character directly into the eyes, or it's mainly somehow that I'm just often it's a 360 recording and there are volumetrics implemented, but I think this is not really the immersive way of how the medium could actually give you the feeling of meeting the character who is either acting, performing, whatsoever. So my plan was to show you once in a 2D form, video transmission, this kind of recording technique, and then actually switching into an 6DoF platform like Neos. And there I had 1.5 months ago a presentation about volumetric recording, and I have their volumetric assets. And I could plan is to show you then these volumetric assets and actually really walk through them and having the kind of the feeling that you are that you see it, that you are there with the performer. So of course, it will be as well a 2-dimensional stream into this platform, into Virtuworx. But as at the moment you have a static camera, and when we are going to Neos, I will use a fluid point of view and switch to another camera position. So I hope everyone is somehow aware what volumetric recording actually is. That it is a 3-dimensional recording technique, what is managed by different sensor and different techniques. The big studios mostly performing this with a simple RGB camera and with a high resolution, proper lit green screen, a lot of cameras around, and they're doing somehow super fast photogrammetry. And then they have this super clean and super nice photogrammetry algorithms, and they're building some OBJs, the bodies, the meshes in the post-production. So, and this technique with the Azure sensors is a LiDAR technique. So it's a depth wind somehow, and this depth wind, when you see here on the edges, so the sensor, the AI of the sensor, the software is creating somehow kind of an depth recognition system around you. So when I have my hand in front of me, you see this black shadow, that's the depth shadow. And the depth shadow is actually blocking everything what is behind. But actually, as well, you see on the thumb here on my shirt, there's as well something white. So the edges are mainly not so perfectly from the automatism catched. So you have to work in the post-production on the cleaning, on the either meshing or point cloud workflow. And there is it's a very post-intense recording technique, but I believe this medium is will be very major when it becomes to everything with AR and 5G and of course for human performance in social VR and in 6DoF VR experiences. So to keep a track on the time, I would say we are switching to Neos, and then I can give you a view to some kind of rock and roll recordings, which I did like this year. Here's, as you can see, no extra lights. It's just a light from the window, but it's actually not on the stream. Here you see on the painting on the wall, you see that here's a light coming from this side. So normally you would record with on these four corners with additional soft lights, that the body is absolutely even lit, and that would lead to a little bit better and cleaner recording and result of it. So especially when it goes to the legs or something. So for example, I'm increasing now the thickness of the points, and then you get more solid impression of the body, especially from the front. Of course, when it's too thick, it loses a little bit the shapes. So I go back down, but I could go down really to nearly transparent. So kind of an hologramish side piece, what then gets more solid in the moment you are dancing up the. And what is a big issue always, this is the last thing what I can show now here on the stage with the volumetric recording. So I go a little bit to the side. That, for example, everything what is glass or transparent or highly reflective is not really working well in this recording technique. So when the moment my face is quite frontish, quite well presented, but when I go for glasses, the glasses get nearly glued to the body. So in the end, you have only, instead of a clean face, you have here this edge of the glass glued on the face, because the separation is not well working. So I would recommend to record volumetric recording without glasses. Okay, so now we will switch to Neos, and then I will come to the second part of this presentation. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, so here we are in Neos, and actually, so let's walk to. Wait, I have to find somehow the spot. So here, let's go to the volumetric recordings. Okay, it is here we have in front of me. I will go to a POV. We have actually two rough recorded dances, and actually I can really see them from all sides, see their performance, and as long as they are in movement, even the issue that that there's a gap, that the recordings are not entirely full body covered, still you have inside of an 6DoF world, you have the feeling of that you really see a human dancer. It's not an avatar, it's not something created. Even with the lack of the solid body, and you here in this, every platform has a different way to shade this kind of format. So here we see a point cloud format. This is not an OBJ format. And so here, this is a 5-frame recording, 5 frames per second, heavily reduced. That's why they are somehow getting transparent when you're getting closer. And we have here a 30 frames per second asset. And here you really can go around them. You see them, you can even go through them. And okay, you can build in VR experiences, colliders and so on. But I believe the power of the human performance, and this actually happening in a social VR platform, is something as well outstanding. The same is in the moment you bring this kind of content into an AR context, then you have immediately the feeling that you're really seeing either an actor, a musician, a performer, a speaker, an actor who is giving a speech or whatsoever, a prominent, whatever it is in your issue needed for your project. But I have the feeling that these both people are really performing here dance. There's an eye communication between them, and I think this is something what you can't get somehow from an avatar performance, not at the moment. Or you go for the crazy Unreal, this digital human thing, but this is a different workflow and a much more intense, cost-intense workflow. Okay, so as well, I can show here in this volumetric world where I'm at the moment. I can as well here when you are really in 6th, you have the option of visiting or working with real world scannings, and I have bring them in here as kind of models that they are in tiny size, and they are transmitting a real reality feeling into, for example, this. When you go here and I could place here a volumetric asset, and then you could actually walk in VR on this place, and you have this feeling of being in the forest, on a walkway in a park or wherever. So there's a lot more, but I think we can talk about details of the different workflows, the POI workflow, the OBJs, and how to handle this kind of massive recording data, as it's quite big. We can continue in the next hours as well on the booth or in the evening in the networking session. So I hope I could give you a more immersive way of looking at volumetric recordings and show you that I believe, from my point of view, social VR and social VR platforms are somehow the strong way to give this human performance a second life. Yes, so that would be it for the moment. Maybe we can check if there are some questions.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you very much, Martn, for your presentation. I think we have a couple minutes because I extended the session a few more minutes. Let's see if there's some Q&A, and if we don't have time to answer them, or if there's no additional questions other than the ones we've answered, then yeah, it's something that we can continue to discuss in depth in the booth. And you're in the red hall. For those who haven't yet seen Martin's booth, it's in the red hall, and Martn will be there throughout the day. Our next speaker, which will be starting in 10 minutes from now, is Lance Powell. So just for everyone to be aware, we'll have a 10-minute break in between this session and the next session.
Okay. Okay, see you in the lobby.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you again, Martn.
Yeah, thank you everyone for showing up during this busy XR week. Thank you. See you in the lobby.